that is the Gold Cup hero. Two of the most admirable chasers you could possibly wish to see.
Relentless, remorseless, and pounding Cordon Star into submission.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Racehour podcast, brought to you with our friends at bookmakers.co.uk. It's me, Dean Ryan, in the towers of bookmakers.co.uk. Diarmuid Nolan is here.
Hello.
Good to have you, Dermo. And Dave Weldon is back. Dave.
Hello.
And we're going to have a look at some of the novice chasers at Cheltenham. We're going to kick off with the Arkle. Notebook is the 3-1 favourite. Fakir Didarius, who we didn't see at the DRF, is a 6-1 chance. Cashbacks come right into the betting now at 7-1. Lights of Brewing Up a Storm, Global Citizen, Esprit de Large, they're all double figures. I've already gone on record as saying I'm going to take on Notebook, certainly at those prices. Whether I take him on with one of the top three is unlikely, but Dermo, I'll let you have first go.
It's a confusing old race now. Notebook, as much as you have to love what he's done so far, and he's the one to beat by country mile in this race, obviously. 3-1 is still quite appealing in that he probably should be a shorter price than what he's done compared to everything else in the field, really. I think he should be. I don't see what else there is, but I'm still happy to take him on, obviously. Anyway, I just don't think Fakir Didarius will turn that form around. I love Cashback. I think there is improvement left in him, but I'm not sure whether he can turn around with Notebook either. And just his mental propensity to boil over as well is something that would have to worry you at Presby Park of all races. And I like Global Citizen. I think Mr. Fisher will end up going up and trip. There's not that many really here in the market. So the two that I kind of am looking at the minute are Esprit du Large and Brewing Up a Storm. Brewing Up a Storm has Cheltenham experience. Ollie Murphy is banging winners all year long, and he'll have his chance. And Esprit du Large, obviously, as I said, was brilliant at Sandown. So it's a race, Dean, that I won't be getting overly excited about until today. I have backed Cashback at bigger odds each way, but if a gun was put to my head at this moment, it would be Brewing Up a Storm.
Okay. Yeah, I really like Brewing Up a Storm for this, based on what seems to be the trend that I like to follow in it. And I know you're not a big fan of it, Demo, but Notebook's hurdle rating wouldn't win an Arkle, whereas Brewing Up a Storm's rating would put it bang in the mix in Arkle, put Al Dancer in that picture, put Global Citizen in that picture. The others I'm struggling with, and it's hard to know that Ollie will even go there with Brewing Up a Storm, because so far it's all been talking about going up maybe for the Marsh. But I think if I was Ollie, I'd roll the dice there. I'd also roll the dice with Al Dancer and Global Citizen. You imagine will go there, Dave?
You'd imagine he will. Max is an out-and-out 2-miler, so I'd say he'd go there. As I mentioned earlier on in the kind of Ante-Post weekend preview, Precious Cargo for me, I hope he wins this weekend, and he'll go on then, and he should be close to favourite if he wins the Kingmaker.
Close to favourite for an Arkle?
Yeah.
What price is he now for an Arkle?
He's 25-1.
Would you think after winning that race that
if he won it well, like if he won it by if he wins by a head, obviously not, he'll cut to 16s or whatever, like. But if he wins it well, which I think he is that kind of horse that has that potential to go and destroy a field. I just think he's overpriced. It's a very funny race. Like, you have the Notebook form line is basically the front three in the market, and the rest are nowhere really in the market. Brewing Up a Storm, yes, he was a good hurdler and ran well last year at the festival, but he's won a race around Taunton and a race at 1-2. That form isn't good enough to win an Arkle. And then you've Esprit du Large, we haven't seen since he won the Grade 1 race at Sandown. Mm-hmm. So is there something after going wrong with him, or are you just keeping him in mind for Cheltenham? I don't think Evan Williams really has a great record at Cheltenham either. And he's still, everyone is banging the winners. You'd imagine he would have been out for a stepping stone.
They did mention post-race that they were going to keep him fresh, didn't they?
Did they? Yeah. Okay. It looks a below par Arkle to me, based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, so as you say about Precious Cargo, Dave, it's a fair shout, because if those front three don't turn out to be what we think they are, it's anyone's race. Yeah.
It's a wide open race.
It's very easy to forget that only less than a week ago we were talking about Bapome coming forward and being an Arkle horse based on.
Thank God we did say here he was the definition of a hipster horse, and he's proven that as well.
Yeah, but like Willie Mullins has got Mellon and Bapome in there, and it's Willie Mullins in their 20s and 25s in what looks a winnable Arkle.
If you took Mellon's Cheltenham form standalone, he'd win this.
Yeah, it's just he's probably going up in trip now, isn't he? It's just,
I would want to see him in a Marsh, but if he did run it, it'd have to be on the list. Like, I'm literally going to cross off the top few based on nonsense trends.
Have you ever seen a Cheltenham festival like this though, where there's so much?
It feels different. Yeah,
I think it's the ground. The ground's been kind of right all year for them to run, so most people have gotten a couple of runs in. Whereas last year,
it's kind of it's dark maybe or something. It's very like if we get a deluge of rain now, which could well happen because March that seems to be happening lately.
Or snow.
What's your form? What? Where's the form then? Where are you looking even? And it's a very, very hard Cheltenham festival.
If Al Dancer ran in that, I'd definitely back it. I think there's so much more in the tank there that they haven't got out from riding tactics.
Then you would definitely put the kettle on. So
yeah, I wouldn't.
If Al Dancer ran at Lake Town, you'd back it.
I think Al Dancer has never done anything bar win a Betfair hurdle where he was far too well handicapped to do it.
Yeah.
I think bar that
he did what he should have done.
He's beaten a horse that you have abused always in Getaway Trump. That's all he's done over fences. He's been beaten by Mr. Fisher.
Should have beat Mr. Fisher though.
I think he's a massively overrated horse.
Should have beat Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, Mr. Fisher, who was 10th in a Supreme last year. In a poor Supreme.
Yeah.
It's not. It's I can't have him for a month of Sundays, and I hope I'm wrong, Dean, because I hope you make money.
No, well, I
think, really don't.
I think Al Dancer win the Grand Annual. So don't run in any of this stuff that we're talking about now, and go straight to the Grand Annual and show them who's boss, Nigel, because that's the job. Okay, the Marsh then, kind of a natural follow-on. Faugheen is in the betting, but I think we've all kind of come to the conclusion that we prefer Faugheen stayed home and dotted up in an Irish festival after Cheltenham. But if they did go there, obviously Faugheen would take some stopping if he was A1. Itchy Feet put himself in the picture at the weekend. Mr. Fisher is a shorter price for this than the Arkle, considering the kind of trip they want to go for. I think you can rule out the likes of Allaho turning up in a Marsh, but I could be wrong. Easy Game, who ran in behind Faugheen there at the weekend. Fakir Dairy if they go up and trip. And then, well, we don't know what to say about Sam Crow. Black Op Classical Dream is definitely not going. Reserve Tank was the one that I was kind of thinking about as
if the ground came good,
a flyer for this potentially, because that back form is seriously good.
Yeah, it's just whether or not he needs the ground to come good for him, because he couldn't jump out on heavy ground. I would be all over Allaho were he to run here. I don't like him for an RSA because I don't think he stays the 3 miles. I mean, Indo bumped into him over 3 miles last year twice, and Allaho looked the winner for all intents and purposes until that final stretch where Indo just kind of powered away from him. I would adore him here. I think a 10-1. I think especially now that Willie Mullins has had Lorena's flop for him. Mellon doesn't look the same horse this season either. So Willie Mullins isn't all that stacked in the novice chasers department. He doesn't have anything for the Arkle really. So he doesn't have that many horses for it. That's one reason why Faugheen could end up making the trip really. But Allaho would definitely be my horse here. I think a 10-1. He's a whopping bet, but he could end up going up to the RSA. So of the ones that I think will definitely run, I think Mr. Fisher at 7-1 is still, or sorry, not Mr. Fisher, Itchy Feet, sorry. At 7-1. That was an absolutely unbelievable performance. Third last year, has Cheltenham Festival experience, and I think Itchy Feet is the one. But if Allaho, if there's any noises at all that he could end up here, I'll be all over.
Yeah, that's one where you'll be listening out. That's a horse that you have on your list for all the preview nights that are coming up. Like, please tell me where that's going to run, because we all kind of like it. We'd like to know what they're going to do with that. Dave Weldon.
Yeah, Allaho is my one as well, for all the reasons Dermo mentioned. I'd love to see him in here and going from the front and just go take them on and stay. He was very good the last day when he won, and he was good behind Easy Game as well when he probably needed to run more so than Easy Game. He would have had a run previous. I like, in fairness, I like Itchy Feet. Mr. Fisher is a good horse. I could see him taking this. Sam Crow, I'd love him to open up Sam Crow and just see what's going on in there. Like, why does he not see out his races? Because he does everything else. He jumps, he travels, and all that, and then just doesn't see out from the second last home.
He's the kind that could go off 20-1 and it just clicks.
Yeah, he just drop right in the day.
It just happens.
I was hoping they'd enter Fakir Dairy in this race, because I think he'd be a player stepping up one trip, but I just checked there and he's not in the entries. So Allaho really is my only one for this.
Okay, 2 shots for Allaho. I'm very undecided. I need to see the field, to be honest. I wouldn't back Sam Crow in it unless it was, as you say, Dermo, 20 odds. I think the race that we're about to talk about, which is the RSA, is where they have to run Sam Crow. But will they? That's the question, Derma.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I think with the way that he's been running all year, I doubt they'll kind of put him through that. I just don't really know whether they kind of know what to do with him. He really let them down at Christmas time, and he just seems to come in and out of form so quickly, because the performance at Down Royal, he did run to the line that day. He obviously a really easy win against a substandard lot of horses, but he kicked him in the touch and he looked like he was back. He took up the running, which he never does, and all that sort of stuff, and then at Christmas time just really let them down again. So it's hard to know where you'd even stand with him. Battle Over Dying was beaten by Fahim, but I wouldn't particularly just give up on him completely yet. He looked like a big boy on good ground that just maybe didn't enjoy it at all. The trip was kind of plenty short for him as well. He was just beaten coming to the last. It wasn't even that he was
it was a tired
pace.
fall,
He just looked knackered. So I just think the whole thing, we actually spoke about it for the race, Dean. He ran a good ground over Christmas and he kind of got away with it, but they remember that, and he looked to me like a horse that turning in on that ground remembered what had happened at Christmas time, and he was clearly sore after it. He's a huge horse, so
he jumped great. Until the fall.
Yeah, so
he jumped lovely.
If the ground comes up heavy, he'll only continue to drift now, because people will call him all sorts of names at preview nights and everything else. So he could end up being a big price for the RSA if they go, especially on heavy ground. I think he will be a very good price. But the one for win purposes now, I've been talking about the two of them all year. It was Battle Over Dying until last Sunday, but it's now Nella Indo, who I just think takes the world of stopping. Can't have Champ for a month of Sundays, as I've said time and time again. He jumps like a table, and I think Nella Indo takes a lot of stopping here.
Yeah, there's enough question marks around Champ for me to take it on at 7-2. It could definitely win an RSA, but I'd have to take it on. Manila Indo is the obvious one for me. Battle Over Doyen, I'm done probably with that one, but if it goes off a whopping price, you'd always be interested. And I like Sam Crow, but I don't expect you to agree, Dave.
No, I don't agree with most of that. Sure, they need to get another run into Manila Indo.
They won't. Last year came in with a very, very similar form, and he'll jump fences at home. He'll jump out
it ran
40 a day. So
it ran over 3 miles in February last year and hasn't run since middle of January now. And like the run behind the arena looks poor now, and it won't beat Captain CJ in a beginner's chase. Like that form is not good enough to place in it.
The form was good enough last year coming into Cheltenham either. But then get beat by Allaho. Could face Allaho again here.
Yeah, so like
it looks an obvious one.
He's an obvious one.
The Bromhead Cheltenham form looks obvious.
I understand all that, but he wouldn't be on my radar at 6-1.
Yeah, it does seem a bit short right now.
He was 50-1 last year with the same kind of form profile in an Albert Bartlett, and he won that.
And he went on and won and a grade one afterwards. He's a horse that they don't seem to want to get an awful lot of runs into him, and in fairness to the likes of Captain CJ, you've got the likes of carefully selected form there as well. So look, he's a big lazy oak who I think could have won by a lot further, but at the prices, I do take your point.
This is where I think Allaho will go. I
don't think he's good. I just don't think he stays the 3 miles. I think he'll touch. I think he'd be in running late, to be honest.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, I think easy game runs here, and that's with his horse. Like,
he looked to stay in performance in the Flowgas anyway.
And he did the same when he beat Hallihoe in Beginner's Chase at Christmas as well.
Yeah.
I think you have to have Slate House on side. This year he kind of has that profile of a really tough 3 mile horse that might just outstay them here. I know he was found out last day against the big boys, but he's back.
I'd love to see him win, because that would just Frank Santini all day long.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another one you have to have inside is Pim, who's done nothing wrong this year and has shown form around Cheltenham. They're two at the 20-1 plus that you kind of have to on side. I don't like the top of the market here at all. Obviously I like Allaho, but I hope he runs in the Marsh. Battle Over Dying, I take your point that he could become a decent bet if his price drifts out a bit more. I think Davey tried to make just too much use from the last day and just try and run the sting out of everyone else, because he knew he wanted further.
He jumps so well for a huge horse.
He jumps so well as well. And then Danny Wisbang as well. Like, if you like Reserve Tank, you have to like him. And forgive him his last run, because he looked super that day.
It looks the 4 mile for him, doesn't it, for some reason?
Probably, yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't read any posting like that. But like 33-1, he could have a flyer. And Master Tommy Tucker as well. I know they loved him when he won that Beginner's Chase at Kempton over 2 mile 2.
Yeah.
But he subsequently let down the form behind Slate House in the Chaos there. But yeah, it's a wide open renewal.
Yeah, I don't see any ricks in these markets. No. We've gone through 3 of the races there, and we've got the 3 mile 6 of the National Hunt Chase to come, and I'm not seeing ricks. I'm seeing, if you know where they're going to go, you get a
might
bit of
get a
value,
bit,
but it's so much guessing. If you're going to go non-runner, no bet, you're leaving behind bigger prices. And so it's a very tricky situation. Let's talk about that National Hunt Chase. Carefully Selected, I think the Racehour is against Carefully Selected winning the National Hunt Chase. But Dave, I've got to ask you what you think about Carefully Selected.
I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he jumps well enough. There's a mistake in him, and he's going to be found out. He probably, the last day he was ridden from the front, he probably doesn't want that either. He probably wants to lead, and he probably was tossing a bit in front. And he, in fairness to him, he came back and won it well in the end. So you can give him that. But I couldn't have him on my radar really. Like Paddy O'Reilly, Paddy doesn't have a great record in race. He's won it twice, but apart from that, like he won it with Raf Vinden and back in focus.
Yeah.
So like they were two good horses. They probably shouldn't have been running the race in the first place. Is Carefully Selected that quality? I don't think so. Champagne Classic is the one I backed to start of the year. I'm getting a bit worried now that we haven't seen him again since, because you'd want a bit of fitness in him going to the race, and he missed the festival last year because he had a setback. So I just wonder, has something gone wrong there? But his form,
fives now, you're going to wait and see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like his form is stacked up with Disco Ram and stuff like that. So I think he has all the potential in the world to go on and win this. And apart from that, it's not really a race I've given much thought to, because I thought I had the winner months ago.
Yeah, you're sticking to your guns for now. We'll see where we end up with it. Demo.
Champagne Classic, that was always the plan. I think just get the run of Christmas and go here fresh. Gordon, Willie, Henry de Bromhead, they all seem to have the exact same thoughts now. That you just get the runs into them and just kind of keep them as fresh. These trainers are so good now at getting horses so fit at home that it just doesn't. You don't need to get the same amount of runs into them. Anyway, First Approach was the one that I actually really like here. Completely contrary to what Dave thinks about the Captain CJ form with Ting. I actually think that's quite strong. And Manila Indo, First Approach stayed with him for an awful lot of that race before tiring. That was his first run for nearly 300 days. It's 25-1 here for this. The one caveat is that he does need to get another run into him, and he will be lacking in the experience function here. But the front of that market is Champagne Classic. He mightn't stay. Carefully Selected won't jump. Danny Whizbang, I don't think he'll stay either. So this could have a real turn up here. And I think First Approach, the way he ran the last day and the way all his novice hurdles went, he's been in some really good races. He's always just looked a real dour stayer. This race will bring out the absolute best in him, but he does need to run once more.
Okay. With decent price right now, you're going to get another spin into it, I'd say. Again, this is another race where I go, if I knew Battle Over Dorian was running, if I knew Allaho was going to run, if I knew Danny Whizband was going to run, I could make cases. I don't know. And so it's very tricky. I might do something that falls flat on its face when we get to Cheltenham, right? So compose yourself.
Please do.
But we did the Arkle, the Marsh, the RSA, and the 3 mile 6 of the National Hunt Chase. I want one horse in each in a row. So I want you to say Arkle horse, Marsh horse, RSA horse, and then the National Hunt Chase horse.
For the Arkle, Brewing Up a Storm at 10-1 Dean. For the March, I would be saying at the moment Allaho at 10-1. For the RSA Chase, Nell Indo, who would rank as my nap of all of the novice chases. And then for the 3 mile 6er, the National Hunt Chase, I will be saying First Approach at 25-1 each way.
Thank you. Dave.
For the Arkle, Precious Cargo at 25-1, Allaho for the Marsh, Sleigh House for the RSA, and Champagne Classic for the 3 mile 6.
Lovely. Okay. I've got Brewing Up a Storm for the Arkle. For the Marsh, I'm going to go with Melon. For the RSA, I'm going to go with Allaho. And for the 4 miler, I'm going to go with Champagne Classic. And that's the end of the pod, chaps. So thanks for listening to the Racehour, brought to you with bookmakers.co.uk. Best of luck this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week. Diarmuid Nolan, Dave Weldon, myself, Dean Ryan, and the Italian stallion, the producer, Alex. Thank you very much.
You've been listening to The Racehour, brought to you by bookmakers.co.uk, your best bet for tips, news and bookmaker reviews.